Thank you to GameWork Create for being a channel partner. Looking for a Kickstarter game you missed or 3D printed minis? GameWork Create has a huge selection available, all at a fair price. Use the link in the description below to check out all that GameWork Create has to offer. What's up, Rockstars, and welcome to another news video for you, all about board games, RPGs, and 3D printing. This was a big one because there are actually companies leaving this space entirely, not coming back. They are done with us. There are big updates to some big games. There's some exclusive information, and of course, so much more. So let's just go ahead and just jump right in. Today's video is sponsored by my patrons and YouTube members. It is through them that I'm able to do videos just like this. So thank you so much for your support. If you wish to join them, there's a link down below for just $1 a month. It may mean a little to you, but it means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Now, I actually have something to announce kind of at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. It's definitely something I need your help with. So we'll talk about that at the very end. For now, let's go ahead and dive right into this. Here is Tanares RPG 5e. This is the Tanares 5e working kind of RPG system in their world with some new classes and subclasses and easy ends and board game content for Tanares Adventures and a giant dragon and all sorts of other stuff. Really what I'm showing here is that, first of all, it's been doing great. 1.2 million. Congratulations on that. Over 6,000 backers with still 27 days to go. That's huge. And I mean, with the names like this, I mean, they keep adding people too. It's just really, really great to see so much talent be put into this, and I think it's definitely better for it. Now, I'm no RPG expert. However, I've seen enough of the other people that are RPG experts talking about this to know that it looks like it's something good. And so that's great for them. What I'm really wanting to point out here, besides the fact that they've added a whole nother chapter for Tanares Adventures, so there's a lot of board game content there. Besides that, they even have some of the bosses as playable characters. There's some crazy stretch goals, but there is a huge crazy giveaway too that I really want to point out. You can win every single 5e book that the official books that they make up to, I think, November of this year. So a ton of books there. And then, of course, you get the Tanares RPG, and then pick any 3 board games, you get that too. So if you are just getting the RPG, but you're like, you know what, I like board games too, well, you can get the Tanares Adventures, and then you can use all those stretch goals in that as well. Double dip. Why not? Or if you've been like, oh, I'd love to have had Kingdom Death Monster, but it's so expensive, well, now you can get it. Huge, huge giveaway, and I want one of you viewing this video right now to win. I really do. One of us needs to win. We have been such a cornerstone to the Dogori Games, rise to the position they are now. They're doing all the right things, and that's all on them for sure, but I've been here rooting for them for quite some time. I know you guys have been supporters of them for quite some time, and I would love to have somebody here win this. So, link down in the description below to everything I'm mentioning, by the way, but especially this. Go ahead and click that. You can pause it now. You can do it at the end of the video. I'll remind you. Either way, go ahead and put in your entries so that you can get in the list and hopefully win. And if you do win, let me know. I'll give you a shout out in the video congratulating you, because that's an awesome win. Moving on from that, we have Doomtown Weird West Edition. Now, this is not something I'd normally cover, mainly because this is West, and I'm not really into Westerns so much. My father is, me not so much, but I have seen plenty. I like a few, but movies, but that's really it. However, I like Weird War, like the World War II kind of offshoots and stuff like that. The reason I wanted to point this out is actually just because it goes to show that a campaign page needs to be something that's well put together, but also the game just has to be good, right? And you got to be able to market it and stuff like that. So 121,000 from 852 backers. That is awesome. Now, this is a edition of Doomtown, so Doomtown is not something necessarily new, so that helps. But if you look at the campaign page, it's not the best. It's okay, but it's very, very bare bones, right? Yet they are doing really, really good. They're unlocking stretch goals. They're doing quite well. I just wanted to point that out because we're going to be looking at a few campaigns that didn't do so well. And I just wanted to show that it's not just what's on the campaign page. I tend to blame that pretty quickly because it can be a problem, but even still, making a good game can just bring you success. So there's that too. Moving on from this one, and again, link down below if you're interested. There's 5 more days to go, maybe 4 by the time this is posted. I don't know when it flips. Okay, next we have Green Hell, the board game. This is the relaunch, so it is now live again. 16 days to go. As you can see, almost 80,000 raised. So they've already smashed the goal, and now are on to stretch goals and stuff like that. I guess they funded it in 7 hours, which is great that there was that kind of traction. So even the second round through. Now I don't know all that's changed. I didn't have enough time to even pay attention to the last one because it was canceled the moment I found it, I swear. Much of this looks like the same to me. My understanding, first of all, they've put a lot more hey, Rolling Solo said this is good. Hey, Man vs. Meeple covered us and said it was good. They have a lot of that, which is cool. And I'll be talking about marketing and outreach and stuff a little bit later as well. But my understanding is maybe not all of it just wasn't such a great deal at the start. A lot of times when people launch campaigns, it becomes, oh my gosh, what a no-brainer. This is an amazing deal if they unlock all the stretch goals. But the day one value needs to be there too. It needs to be oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Green Hell, the board game. Look at all the stuff I get. Look at how great it is. Look at how good it plays. Look at how many times I could replay this. All this kind of stuff is kind of what backers are looking for. And so if that's not an obvious, yeah, of course I'd back, then you need to make that as obvious as possible. So there's almost no excuse not to. It's kind of the ideal. Speaking of relaunches though, we have Limbo Eternal War 1.5. Again, $169,000, 977 backers, and so 28 days to go. So quite the accomplishment. Again, quite the relaunch on both of these campaigns. I think they've done quite well for themselves. This is huge. They're unlocking, first of all, the campaign page is totally different. You guys saw what I covered last time. Look at this. Just, first of all, look, the next stretch goal right up here, right? Right up here, you get this kind of big, kind of high level elevator pitch with, kind of the game on display. And then, of course, you get the 48-hour early bird bonus and stuff like that. I think that might be over by now. And then what is Limbo? Right up top. And then, guess what? Boom. Here's our core audience, people who have already gotten this game. Look, you can get this right here. Here's 1.5. Really, really cool. One of the great things I think is this starter set right here. I talk about how expensive these games are getting, right? I mean, even this, $140. $140 is a lot of money, but look, you can get this game and play this game and have fun with this game for $109. And that's just because of a conversion from whatever 150 Australian dollaroos is. I don't know. But, that's really, really cool that they were willing to essentially take this Raphael Gluttony box, which is highly recommended, by the way. They are very good additions to the game, and I very much appreciate them, but strip that out so that you still get a lot of content, you still get a lot of cool minis, you still can play the game, but at a cheaper entry price if you need to do that. I think that's awesome. For those who are maybe just want to dip their toe in or are a little cautious or just can't afford almost, 50% more, well, there you go. You can have this now. So that's really cool. And then again, they're showing how high these are, right? I mean, a normal person's 45, but because of poses, people are 60 or 90 or all sorts of stuff, and monsters are even more. And it's just, it's really, really good. They did a much better job on this page, and it shows that it helps too, right? Here's all the new stuff here. And then of course, all the unlocks that they're doing. This is really, really cool stuff. The chick holding the demon head. Awesome. I'm interested in this right here. Look at this. This next one is a frozen dungeon. But if you look at it, it looks, there's even dead ends and stuff. I wonder if I could put objectives there. That might be kind of cool. I love changing up the map like that. Very much helpful. And then of course, the solo/co-op campaign starts unlocking here and just kind of keeps unlocking more and more stuff. Looks like we got AI cards and equipment cards and the rule book and, all that kind of stuff. So a lot here. Really impressed. Look at these gifts. Again, a little bit of extra time, a little bit of extra polish. They were able to put this together in just a few days. A few more days, if you'd launched this day one, I think you would have had even better success. It's very nice. Look, all these videos and stuff like that. Just put in that extra effort, and I think you're good to go. All in price, by the way, $266 for this game. This is top shelf kind of stuff here. The only thing really holding this back was a few missteps in production, like single-sided tokens and stuff like that. And then, of course, just the rulebook, right? But if you got past the rulebook and just played the game as it was intended, not how written, fantastic game. So highly recommended on Limbo. I've been a big proponent of it because it is definitely the biggest, my number one diamond in the rough when it comes to underappreciated games. Next up, we have Kenji's Quest, the classic 90s era RPG meets the tabletop. I've covered this a few times. It is now live, and it is now at $19,562 out of a $38,000 goal with 27 days to go and 90 backers. Now, they have been listening to feedback, and I think that's awesome. It really, really is. And I have a clarification to do as well. I'm not perfect, but I do like to clarify when I can. So, first of all, they're listening to feedback. Notice now there is a $50 starter pledge. They got rid of the mason jars, so like drink your own potion kind of stuff, and they got rid of the 3D mini rat box and just have just the standees, which is almost there. I think they should also get rid of the magic stones and just use tokens with magic stones if needed or whatever, but maybe they're picking this on their backyard. I don't freaking know. If it's costing them extra money, then I say you print it with everything else that's already being printed. It shouldn't cost too much extra. But they got rid of the pencils, which is also nice. However, they still have the neoprene mat, which is just adding weight and storage and shipping cost and bulk. Because it's just a blank neoprene mat you put the tiles on. I appreciate a neoprene mat, I really do. A black one that has nothing on it but the word Kenji Quest on it. Get that, I know, and these are expensive too, so it's stitched and everything, right? I mean, it's a very nice quality, and I think that's great, but I don't know if you need to start out with the neoprene mat. I don't think you need to. I bet you could dumb this down even more. You could have a $30 game. And I think you're actually probably upping your profit margin then and get rid of the game mat, my opinion. I think that, at that point, that's like, you're getting the whole game here, where a lot of RPGs can just get you maybe the book for $30. That's quite the deal. Like at that point, you're like, oh, shoot, maybe, So, but either way, they're getting there and they're listening to feedback. I appreciate that. I wanted to clarify the CO cast and the boss miniatures. So let's go down to the boss miniatures real quick, and I'm going to try and kind of speed this up a little bit here. Let's get past the mason jars and whatnot. Okay, so these boss minis for $80, right? They are from a 3D print company, but they're partnering with them, and my understanding is they're getting support from them. I suspect that means maybe different cuts of the minis. So I looked up the CO cast that they're CO res that they're doing here, right? The CO casting. And it's actually a very cool machine that can do that. Now, you can get up to 1.5 inches or 40 millimeters. That's as big of a silicone mold as you can get, right? So when I looked at that log that came off of that, it's still too big, right? Obviously. Like even flat, because then the base would be too big, right? Unless maybe you have the log separate and then the base flat, and they can do it that way. There's a few ways you can do it. You can definitely make minis like this, okay? So, but like you're gonna have some parts like this crack in here with this kind of like, you could lay that, as long as you laid them all sideways and they didn't lean up too much, you're probably okay. You might have to, they're gonna be fairly multi-part, as opposed to 3D printed like what you're seeing right there, which is 3D printed. So it's kind of all one piece. That's why you're not seeing the seams of the parts and everything like that, because a lot of the times you can just 3D printed at scale. Depends on how big of a 3D printer you have, obviously. But it is possible. However, I still have a little bit of confusion because I actually looked and the base price of one of those machines is $60,000. So unless they're using a company, which they might be, in Utah to print it for them, they're going to have to buy one, I guess, or rent one, or I don't know what that looks like for them. Maybe they've explained that elsewhere, which is fine and whatever. But definitely something to just, I don't know. I guess I would just like, anytime there's a change in manufacturing from the normal, when it's something new or that you're, especially if you're like advertising, like advertise it. Tell me how this is better, right? I understand how Cyrus is better, but how are you actually doing this, right? I want to know how you're delivering this. Now, obviously, the molds can also handle about 300 to 400, I think they said, casts. Now, obviously, that depends on what you're putting in that mold, of course. Not the resin necessarily, but just like how trimmed out it is and stuff like that. But either way, pretty impressive because sometimes it's like 50 to 100. So the molds seem to last a while too. Anyway, just wanted to clarify that. And again, of course, the link to all this stuff is down below. Moving on, we have SCP Foundation, the board game Confidential Crisis, canceled. Why was it canceled? This is huge and important. It really is. So, Liam says, a board game with SCP theme. Color me excited. Liam responds to himself saying, thank you for the support. Liam realizes he didn't log out of the fake account and log back into the official account and said, oops, I haven't finished typing, laugh out loud. Thank you for the support of the SCP universe and let more people know the series. Trying to spin it back into, nobody's falling for that. And this, it wasn't just that this happened in either. So they had some fake backers with some fake comments where it was just them saying it just to start driving anticipation and getting comments on there. I've seen this a lot with some of the stuff I buy on like Amazon even and stuff like that where it's like, these are not real. Unfortunate. However, I don't think this is a scam but that does break Kickstarter rules. So let me kind of explain this. If we go over here is a guy, Stephen Foster. He's saying he's an angel investor. He's loaded with money and can fund them all alone if you want to. That's what an angel investor really is. It's somebody who just swoops in and just, saves them and funds it. You're trying to hustle and crowdfund it, and then this rich guy comes and is like, I'm funding you. And you're like, yeah, you're an angel. Kind of the line here, right? But he's like, I want a specific apology. I want you to address this point blank. And they do. Now, I'm not going to read all of this. You guys can pause it right now. Okay, welcome back. So you can read that if you wish. I'm not going to waste time. It's not a waste of time, but I'm not going to, whatever. Anyway, they say, yeah, we goofed. That was a big mistake on our part. But we're probably going to relaunch and we really want to do this right. And do it clean. And so I think that they should definitely do that because they are doing stuff like having YouTubers look at it. A TTS so anybody can play it. So this is just better for consumers because what it is they're saying, okay, we are serious about this game. We want you to play it. It's a real game and we think you're going to love it. So go ahead and play it before you even back it. That is a sign of confidence and I really dig that. They're learning a lot. They're taking in the feedback quite well. They're being quite humble about it, which I think is good. So I'm all for companies doing better, right? When Command started releasing Zombicide scenarios for free, I was like, that's awesome. You guys rock. You reward good behavior, right? You don't just forever dismiss a company because they did something bad once, or twice, or it doesn't matter. Like good behavior is good behavior and you should reward it. Otherwise there's very little incentive to do the good behavior, right? So, and because I want people to have a game that they're going to love. And apparently a lot of people like this SCP stuff. And so that's good. Now, and I'm not saying this because I want a copy of it. I don't want a copy of it. It doesn't like my kind of game at all. I don't really like the art style design of it, per se. And I don't know. I'm not into the IP. I haven't really, it hasn't struck me as like, oh my gosh, do you know more about this? So, but I think they should do it to other people, like to another YouTuber or something like that. Get that outreach, get the word out, make this the best campaign it can be, and obviously learn from your mistakes. Either way, I think that's great. I'll be calling back to this in a little bit. But first, Agemonia. This is coming out on Tuesday, which I believe is the 9th. Let me check my calendar right here. The 7th. That's not the 9th at all. I can do math. I believe it's September 7th this is coming out. I will be getting a copy of this, but a little bit late. I'll unbox it for you for sure. I'll try and get a review in, but I gotta play it several times, as you guys know, before I review it, until I feel comfortable with it. Different game modes, different player counts, all that kind of stuff. So we'll see if I can get the review in on time. I'll try. If nothing else, I'll get it in for the Pledge Manager, but you'll at least see an unboxing from me. The art style's kind of, to me, it's okay. But I really like the coloration that they have on it. And of course, the style of game that it looks to be. So definitely interested in this. And again, it's from the publisher of Eclipse, which is obviously a very big deal as well. So very cool looking at, and I'm hoping it's Agemonia, not Agemonia. I know several of you guys are like, why do you struggle to sound things out? It's because I don't know if that's age or ag or what. I just don't know. When you make up words, it can be whatever they want. So, people, these companies stopped naming stuff like Descent and Deception and Rising Sun and Blood Rage and started Agemonia. I don't know. Maybe it's a word. It's not a word I'm familiar with. Not hating on the word. I just don't know how to say it. Okay, moving on. Anycubic Photon Ultra coming to Kickstarter as well. They're like, you know what, Elegoo? Screw you guys. I'm going on Kickstarter too. And we're having pretty much the opposite. And what do I mean by that? This is the small version of the Anycubic. Now, it's not like tiny, itty bitty. You can print minis on it just fine. You'll do okay. And I'm sure it'll print great. But the Jupiter was like this big deal about being really big and an extra resin vat, feeder system and all that kind of stuff. And this is just a printer, but it's a DLP or like what I like to call DULP instead of LCD or licked. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. What is the DLP? So let's go. Oh, and by the way, $400 for the first 100. It's limited to 2,000 at $500. And then after that, you just buy it normal. $600 at retail after the Kickstarter. So this is like, if you want a one, you got to get in quick. There's no like bucket afterwards that they're going to pre-sell it to you with, as far as I can tell. This is the DLP versus LCD. I don't know how factual this is. I'm not saying they're lying. I'm just saying that when it comes to actual results, right? Because there's like, there's concept, right? There's theory, and then there's like, okay, is the mini actually better for this? And I don't know. I'm sure other YouTubers that are really into this will be able to tell you. I'm just a casual printer myself, but I do know that pixels are naturally square, and so if you're trying to do a little line, that's what the anti-aliasing comes in. I know there is such a thing as light bleed, but normally that doesn't affect any of our like gray colored resins too much, which is what most people print with. If you're printing with like clear stuff, then maybe the light bleed is like if the pixel turns on and the resin's right here, it's hardening this resin, but it's also bleeding out a little bit as it kind of edges out, right? Because it doesn't just go like this. It actually kind of angles out a little bit, so you get a little bit of light bleed around it as well. Very minimal, but technically true. So I don't know. But either way, interesting. I'm glad they're pushing the envelope. I'm glad they're trying new things. I think that's awesome. And it'll be interesting to see both of these on and see which one is better and all that kind of stuff. I'm just interested to follow along. Anyway, link down below, and then you can click that Kickstarter thing. I think you have to give them their email as opposed to a preview page. I don't know why companies do that so much. Next up, another 3D printing thing, but this is by Ian Lovecraft, which he does like really good Kickstarters. They're very successful. He's doing one that's A Tale of Two Worlds. There's this like a dwarf standing on the shield held by two other dwarves. There's some like gypsy traveler ladies and dudes here. There's some knights. There's some great terrain. Everything I would expect from him. It looks like it's going to be pretty big. So very cool about that. I'll let you guys know when it does actually launch so that you guys will be able to see what's there, like dwarves flying eagles, because why not? Anyway, yep, that's right here. Again, there's already 1,200 people signed up. I'm sure it's going to be big. Next up, IDW left. If you don't know, IDW did stuff like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Shadows of the Past. They did the Batman the Animated Series Gotham City Under Siege, which was pretty recent. They were going to do Metal Gear Solid and Bomberman, but then they canceled those two. They aren't even going to launch them. And that's because in their Q2 2021 fiscal report, under loss income from operations, they said that tabletop games is a line of business in which IDWP has exited, which is something we've suspected for a long time, especially ever since they canceled Metal Gear Solid. Now, they are still writing updates. They are still answering comments. They are still there in their undelivered Kickstarter games. My assumption is that they are going to still deliver it just fine and then just not make another one. However, if any of you guys notice any kind of weirdness around that, let me know, please, and I'll take a look at it. And I wish IDW luck. They were never one I like bit the apple from. Their mini quality is kind of lackluster. And they only do IP games, so it was a little kind of cash in a little bit to me, it felt like, if that's all they do. However, I heard people loved Teenage Ninja Turtles, for instance, so there is, like, it seems like they made great games. The component quality was kind of bad, and they were, like, leading the way with Kaban when it came to kind of manipulative ways to get you to do all in backs. Like, one of their big things was that they were one of the first to do the stretch goal for a specific expansion or a specific pledge tier, right? And so that you didn't get all the stretch goals unless you backed all in. They were very much a prominent visionary in that push that now seems fairly common, but at the time was like, what are you doing that for? Anyway, but still, I wish them luck. I hope they come back to us and make some cool games people enjoy, because people seem to enjoy what they did. Next up, we have Zombicide, Undead or Alive. This is just an interesting point I wanted to make out when it comes to minis, right? And so you see here that there is a gap between what's held in front of her and her body, right? And the only way to do that is with this, you can see right there, this arm and this whole piece here, and probably that hand is all a separate piece. And that's because it's like an ice cube tray, right? Like, you can't fill her with plastic, then stop filling with plastic, and then fill with plastic as she's holding something in front of her, right? If she's like laying down, right? Like, there's an air pocket there that doesn't work. And you can't even like put an overhang of some metal. Like, it doesn't work that way. You would have to like maybe prop her up this way perhaps and do it. You can try pull directions, right? To kind of get around that. But in general, it's just going to be two pieces. And they do that a few times, which is nice. But then you get to this horse and they just stopped. It's just like, so these are the reins and then just plastic attaching it. So it's like this fan, and you can see the plastic here too as well, of course, right in here. Now, this kind of plastic stuff, normally you can get a knife and just cut out. This is a bit much, and it's a bit close on here, which is kind of a bummer. And again, that's because as the horse lays flat, you can't have, like, you could sculpt this piece, right? And then not have this piece separate, right? And then glue it in. But if you pour this in and then you can't do nothing again and then knit again, right? It doesn't work that way, right? And so in an effort to make it cheaper on them, they make it worse for us. And I see this often with them, which is why all of these people are pretty flat, right? Where it's, you know, like, they're trying to get as single cast as possible. Now, they are starting to do a bit more when it comes to multi-part. See, there's another guy who has a multi-part because he's holding something in front of himself. The moment you do that, well, then you're kind of screwed, right? And so as if it's perpendicular to you. And otherwise, I mean, you could do this or, you know, whatever. But anyway, so yeah, they're getting there, but they're also still on texture in their bases. So I don't know. They need to catch up. The problem is that they took out the word cool and the word mini out of their games and out of their name, right? And they make interesting minis for sure, but and they're definitely average, I would say. Maybe even slightly below average at this point on Kickstarter. There's just some, like, the Limbo here knocks them out of the park. Not even close. These are so much better. They are better in every single possible way. They are better. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. These are better. And that's just how it is. These Tanares RPGs, I've already unboxed them. They are 100% in every single way better. So they are definitely just kind of, I don't know, it's just a bummer because I remember how amazing they used to be and how much delight they used to bring. And now they've kind of not only like, they've stopped progressing where everybody else keeps progressing, but almost regressed a bit, I feel, in a way too. But anyway, hopefully they fix this so you guys get a cool horse and not whatever the heck that, it looks weird. I'd rather there be no reins, right? Like, that's just kind of the unfortunate thing. It's like, why would you even do that? I don't know. It's frustrating. Okay, Neverheim. Miniature games canceled and good riddance. This is actually the second time it's been on Kickstarter. You just didn't know because the first time they launched it and they canceled it, they then also abandoned that whole Kickstarter account, made a new Kickstarter account, and then relaunched this under that new Kickstarter account. Seems a little weird. Well, yeah. Anyway, like, here's their genuine backers, and it's just a snarky, people are trying to pull things back to the Dark Ages. Like, this kind of snarky, antagonistic, aggressive stance towards people asking questions is amazing to me, and they definitely should not fund. Even if they thought that somehow this meant that they were going to actually make a game, and that this was going to actually happen with its fuzzy pictures and impossible sculpts, no matter what you're making it out of, that's too skinny. It's even wound there, it's not even solid there. Anyway, even if they thought this was going to be a thing, I don't trust them enough, if they can't even make an image look good, to produce something as complex as a board game. They released a partial rule book that didn't tell you turn order, didn't tell you how to win the game or anything like that, and then took it down when people started asking questions like, how do you win the game? How do you play a turn? All that kind of stuff. And it's just really unfortunate. People even did like point blank, like, okay, just yes or no, do you have a prototype at all that you're playing? And they won't answer that at all. But they will yell at their backers, and just it's just really unfortunate that this kind of interaction is even possible. It reminds me a lot that, by a large degree, oh, look, deleted. So yeah, no, they removed Zombie Division. They'll be back as a third entity with this game again, perhaps. I don't know. Anyway, they have a way of like really, removing your comments, but I don't know if we have a way of removing them. I don't know if it goes up. Typically censorship comes down, right? Not up. Funny how that works. So I don't know if there's anything we could do to, have them calling out people and just, being rude. It's just unfortunate. Really is. Anyway, if you're in for if you're bored, if you're on your phone right now, you're like, I got some time, you can read the comments. There's 349 gems right here for you to kind of walk through. Glad this did not fund. Do not ever pay any money for anything that says Neverheim. Okay, don't do it. Or anything that looks like it's Neverheim with a different name. You will not be getting a game. I can almost guarantee it. Because making games is hard, and I don't think these people are going to do it, and even if they tried. Okay, Vorpal Board. If you have Vorpal Board, open up the app. Wait a few seconds after you click yes to the conversion. What it is Android 11 changed how you can store files on the tablet, or, your phone or whatever, and they need to just change the save files. This might affect other app-driven games. I don't know. You might want to ask how they're storing it and if they need to change it. Vorpal Board need to change it, so you would lose your saved games, stuff like that. But it took like 5 seconds, so it's not too big of a deal. Either way, but they have to do it. So feel free to ask in your app-driven game and just make sure that you guys are good with there. Okay, Avatar Legends. First of all, $9.5 million. Congratulations. One clarification, Magpie Games, I said, did Root, and they did, but it was just the role-playing game, which is a separate thing. Now, they still had 6,495 backers there. Now, they have not delivered anything yet from Kickstarter. This is going to be shipping soon. However, they are a legitimate company that have produced other things off of Kickstarter, so don't fret it. I'm sure it'll be awesome. Just also congrats, and wanted to make sure I updated that for you guys. Okay, Celestial Tease. Here is a mini. This is not my picture. This is not my mini. That's not my home. Okay, this is a 3D print of one of the minis from Celestial, the board game. I will be having a details video where I will show and tell more. But suffice it to say, definitely a unique thing. It's kind of pretty much StarCraft meets Game of Thrones. There's a lot of like, kind of like religion and political intrigue and a prophet and a message that isn't appreciated or isn't politically helpful right now. And so people are on the run, and there's like third parties with their own motives in, who's in charge and who has power and all that kind of stuff. But then it's also like StarCraft, where you have these hero units and then you have these like minions. So like these kind of mass troops that you have. And that's kind of the skirmish story board game thing that's going on there. Very cool. Size comparison. Here is a Deep Madness minis. These HQs are huge. They actually were selling the 75mm resin minis, which are fantastic, by the way. And my understanding is you can actually still use those in the game, because those are those heroes that you can use at that scale. And then your minions are the normal small guys. So very interesting gameplay for sure. Very interesting aesthetic, as you can see. Wholly unique. There's nothing else like it. I pretty much guarantee you on your shelf, for the most part, there's probably something somewhere. But if you're like me, I don't have anything like this on my shelf. So definitely interested in that. And that's it. That is the update. Guys, I hope you appreciated that. It was definitely worth... I know I just had one, but as I was going through, I was like, there's so much more still to cover. And I'm sure there'll be more and more and more. So I'll be sure to keep sharing this news as long as it's helpful for you guys. So let me know if it was helpful, either with a comment or a like. And with that out of the way, thank you guys so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye. Hey guys, real quick before you go, I just wanted to say that I will be answering questions during this time of my future videos. So feel free in the comments to ask any question you want, either about something I covered or anything in particular, and I might answer it in the comment, or I might save it for a video response. So if you want to see your question answered live like this in video, then go ahead and ask anything you want, and look forward to seeing what you guys have to ask. We're going to try this and see how it is. I think it'll be a lot of fun though. Okay, bye.